Section 2, question 17. A tank has one inlet tap A and two outlets taps B and C. When the tank is empty and both outlet taps are closed, the tank can be filled by tap A in 2 hours. When full and tap A is closed, the tank can be emptied by tap B alone in 8 hours or tap C alone in 6 hours. Part A, if the tank is empty at 7:30 a.m., find the time the tank would be full if 1. Tap B is closed and taps A and C are opened at 7:30 a.m. So our interest here is because B is closed, we are supposed to find the time taken to fill the tank if only A and C are opened. So B will be closed. So our interest here will only be tap A and C. So from this statement, the tank can be filled by tap A in 2 hours. So tap A, this one fills the tanks in 2 hours. So that means in 1 hour, tap A can fill a half of the tank. That is a fraction of the tank tap A can fill in 1 hour, because it takes 2 hours to fill the tank. Then tap C, that one empties, not filling. It empties when it is running alone. It can empty the tank in 6 hours. It is here. So C, this one can empty the tank in 6 hours. So that means in 1 hour, it can empty a sixth of the tank. A sixth of the tank. Now this information is very important. Now you have the fraction that can be filled by A in 1 hour, and then the fraction that can be emptied by C in 1 hour. Now we want to combine the two taps. Now A plus C. So A plus C, how long will they take in 1 hour? A is filling, so you take the fraction A can fill in 1 hour, and then because C is emptying, we're going to subtract. C is emptying, so we subtract, and it can empty a sixth of the tank. So that means in 1 hour, both taps A plus C can fill a half minus a sixth. This will be a third. So that is a third of the tank. So if in 1 hour both of these taps can fill a third of the tank, what about filling the tank? And the fraction when the tank is full will be 3/3 or 1. So you just cross multiply. So this will be 3/3, which is the same as 1, multiplied by 1, then multiply by the reciprocal of 1/3, which is 3/1. And that means that both taps A and C can fill the tank in 3 hours. So if the tanks, if the taps are open, if they are open at 7:30, if they are open at 7:30 a.m. and they can take 3 hours to fill, so we simply add 3 hours, and you get that the time when the tank will be full will be 10:30 a.m. So that is how you're supposed to work out that part. We go to part 2, when all the 3 taps are opened at 7:30 a.m. Now you're supposed to find the time the tank would be full if all the 3 taps are opened. Now it is A, B, and C. So we need to have the fraction. The only fraction that we're not having is B. We have the fraction that can be filled by A as a half in the previous part. Then by C is a sixth. So B, when you go to the statement there, B also empties. It can empty the tank in 8 hours. So that means in 1 hour, it can empty an eighth of the tank. So now, when all the 3 taps are running, that is in 1 hour, we need to get in 1 hour. In 1 hour, when all the 3 taps are running, that is tap A, then B, and C, what fraction of the tank will they fill? So A, in 1 hour, fills a half from the previous part. It fills a half of the tank. Then C is emptying. C is emptying, we got that, and it can empty a sixth of the tank, and you're going to subtract because it is emptying, so a sixth. And then B is also emptying, and in 1 hour it can empty an eighth, so we are going to subtract that one as well. So now these will give the fraction of the tank that will be filled if all the three taps are running, A, B, and C. I need to note that B and C are emptying the tank, and that is why we are subtracting. So when you add all these, I have subtract 1 over 6, subtract 1 over 8, you'll get 5 over 24. So in 1 hour, all the three taps will fill 5 over 24 of the tank. That is a fraction of the tank. Now, what about filling the tank? And filling the tank means it will be, the fraction will be 1. 1 or 24 divided by 24. So if in 1 hour, the three taps can fill 5 over 24 of the tank, that is a fraction of the tank. What about when the tank is full? When the tank is full, the fraction is 1 or 24 over 24. So you simply cross multiply, and these will give 1 times 1, then times the reciprocal, divide by 5 over 24, that is 24, multiply by 24 over 5. So these will give 24 divided by 5 hours, and this gives 4 hours when you work out these, because this is hours. This will give 4 hours, 4 hours and 48 minutes. 4 hours and 48 minutes. That is the time taken by the three taps to fill the tank. So if the taps were opened at 7:30 a.m. and it takes 4 hours and 48 minutes to fill the tank, then it means that the tank will be full at 12:18 p.m. 12:18 p.m. So that is how you're supposed to solve that part. We go to part B of the question. The tank was empty again the following day at 7:30 a.m. Tap A was opened at 7:30 a.m. Tap B at 7:50 a.m. and tap C was opened at 8:30 a.m. Find 1. The percentage of the tank that would be without water at 8:30 a.m. The percentage of the tank that will be without water at 8:30 a.m. Now we'll take each tap at a time. Of course, it was open. It was empty again at 7:30. Then tap A was opened at 7:30, and we are supposed to find the percentage. So we need to take A, for example, tap A. It was opened at 7:30, and you need to get the percentage that A will fill alone by 8:30. So you can see the difference in time. From 7:30, A was opened from 7:30 to 8:30. That is 1 hour. So tap A was to run for 1 hour from 7:30 to 8:30. So what fraction of the tank will tap A fill in 1 hour? We got it in the previous part, which is a half of the tank, because A fills the tank using 2 hours. So in 1 hour it fills a half of the tank. So that is a half of the tank. A half of the tank. Then let's go to tab B. Tab B empties, and it was opened at 7:50. So we are supposed to get the fraction filled by tab B from 7:50 a.m. from 7:50 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. And this one is when you calculate this time from 7:50 to 8:30. These will be 40 minutes. These will be 40 minutes. So that is the time that tab B will be running and tab B is emptying. So we need to get in 1 hour, tab B can fill 1/8, an eighth of the tank. Where did we get these? we already given that B can empty the tank in 8 hours alone. So in 1 hour, it can empty an eighth of the tank. So what about in 40 minutes? Because it was not opened for 1 hour. So what about in 40 minutes? And 40 minutes, because here we're dealing with hours, we'll convert 40 minutes to hours by dividing by 60. So 40 minutes is the same as 40 divided by 60 hours. So what about that? And this one, you notice that 40 divided by 60 will be 2/3. 40 over 60 will be 2/3. Then multiply by 1/8. So if 1 hour, it can empty an eighth of the tank, what about in 2/3 hours, which is the same as 40 divided by 60 hours? So this will give 2 1 by 2, 4. This will give 1/12. So tab B, running for 40 minutes, it was able to empty 1/12 of the tank. Then tab C was opened at 8:30. Tab C was opened at 8:30. So if it was opened at 8:30 and you want to know the percentage of the tank that will be without water at 8:30, so we are getting the fraction filled by tab C from 8:30 to 8:30. Of course, C will not contribute anything. So C will not contribute anything, because at that time that we want to find the percentage of the tank without water, 8:30, that is when the tab C is opened. So definitely we'll consider tab A and B. Tab A and B. You need to be very keen about that. So now tab A and B now alone. So A plus B, tabs A and B alone in 1 hour. Now, not in 1 hour, but now we are getting the fraction. We already have the fraction by tab A, which is a half, and then we have the fraction filled by tab B, emptied by tab B, which is 1/12. 1/12, and we are subtracting this because C is emptying. So A plus B combined, C, we said C will not have any impact. This will give, when you subtract, you get 5 divided by 12. That is the fraction that will be filled by 8:30. By 8:30. So what fraction remains? The fraction that remains is the one that is empty. The fraction that remains, if 5/12 is the fraction that is filled by 8:30, that is by tab A and B, what about the remaining? The remaining, we get it by take 12 divided by 12 or 1 when it is full, then subtract whatever has already been filled, which is 5/12, and this gives us 7 divided by 12. So 7 divided by 12 is the fraction that is without water, the fraction of the tank without water. Now we are supposed to represent this one using percentage. So you just take that fraction without water and then we multiply by 100 to convert it to percentage. And this gives 700 divided by 12. It gives 58.33. 58.33% or 58 and a third percent. That is a fraction without water. The last part 2, the time the tank will be filled up. The time the tank will be filled up. Now remember, it will be filled up when it is being filled by all the 3 taps. So that means now after 8:30, all the taps will be running. All the taps will be running to fill that remaining part. So this is what you're going to do. We need to get the time or the fraction of the tank that will be filled by all the 3 taps. By all the 3 taps. So when all the 3 taps are running now, that is A plus B plus C, in 1 hour. In 1 hour, we already got that. The fraction that they can fill, we got it somewhere here. It was in part 2, A part 2. We got the fraction is 5/24. 5/24. It is here, all the three taps, because now the part that is remaining will automatically be filled by the three taps. Now C will be running from there, and B and A will also be continuing. So in 1 hour, this is 5 divided by 24 of the fraction of the tank. So what about the remaining? What about the remaining fraction? And you already have the fraction that remains. In part 1, we already got the fraction without water, and the fraction without water was 7/12. The fraction with water was 5/12. So the fraction without water was 7/12. That is what we represented using percentage here. So what about 7 divided by 12? If in 1 hour the three taps can fill 5/24 of the tank, what about the remaining fraction? 7/12. So we just cross multiply 7/12 multiply by 1 multiply by 24/5. So this will give by 12 1 by 12 2. This will be 14 divided by 5. 14 divided by 5 hours. This is the same as 2 hours, and 4/5 hours. And you can give this one in terms of hours and minutes. So this is 2 hours and 48 minutes. 48 minutes. It is as simple as that. So remember that from 8:30, now we are starting from 8:30. So from 8:30 a.m. now the three taps are running to fill the remaining part, and it has taken 2 hours and 48 minutes. So we simply add these, and this will give 11:18 a.m. That is the time the tank will be filled up. Question 18, part A. Complete the table below for the equation y is equals to x cubed minus 2x squared minus 4x plus 7. So the table is there. You're supposed to use a calculator for this. Allow me to correct some of the values that have been filled. This is a typing error. So for when x is negative 0.5, when x is negative 0.5, this should be, y should be 8.4. You correct that. And then this one, just a typo error, this will be 0.1. When x is 1.5, y will be 0.1. Now I'll just demonstrate using the first value how you're supposed to fill the table, because this is just use of calculator. You just need a calculator. For example, I will use the first one. When x is negative 2, how do you get the value of y? Just substitute x with the negative 2 in this function. So the x cubed, so x is negative 2, so the x cubed will be negative 2 cubed. Then subtract 2x squared. Remember, x is negative 2, so that will be negative 2 squared. Subtract 4x, x negative 2, and then plus 7. Feed everything like this using a calculator. Remember to put the brackets as well. Once you're done, press equals, and this one should give negative 1. So that is how you're supposed to do for all the others. It is negative 1. So for all the others, do the same. So when you fill, when you use negative 1.5 as the value of x, you will get y to be 5.1. I'm rounding these values correct to one decimal place. This is 5.1. Then when x is 0.5, this will be, y will be 4.6. When x is 2, y will be negative 1. And then lastly, when x is 4, y will be 23. Just fill everything carefully. Remember to put the brackets the way I've put the brackets there in the calculator, and everything will be okay. Round off these y values correct to one decimal place, because that is the only way you'll be able to plot these values. That is how you're supposed to do that part, 2 marks. Part B, using the scale 2 centimeters to represent 1 unit. on the x-axis. So on the x-axis, 2 centimeters to represent 1 unit. So that means one small square will represent 0.1, one small square. Then you have on the y-axis, 1 centimeter to represent 5 units. So one small square will represent 1. It is good to note that. So draw that graph. So I've already done that. Once you plot these values and use the given scale correctly, this is what you're supposed to have. This is the required graph. So you make sure you plot everything, and then when you're drawing your curve, it will not be exactly the way you see this one. This one is drawn using a computer. So when you draw your curve, ensure that the curve is smooth and the curve passes through all the plotted points. So that is what you should have. You should have something like this. This is the function y is equals to x cubed minus 2x squared minus 4x plus 7. That is what you should get. So for that, you will get, you're supposed to get 3 marks. So there's a mark for the scale, there's a mark for correct plotting, and then for the curve, small curve, you get 1 mark. So you get a total of 3 marks for that. So ensure that you use the given scale, plot all the points correctly by understanding the scale, then the smooth curve, get a mark. Now we go to the other question. By drawing straight lines, use your graph to solve the equation. So the first equation is given there. So this is how you do that. By using straight lines, use your graph. Because you're using that graph, first write the function of that graph that you've drawn is y is equals to x cubed minus 2x squared minus 4x plus 7. That is the function of the curve that is given here, the one that you have drawn. You have drawn that. Then you need to compare these with these. 0 is equals, now the given equation, x cubed minus 2x squared minus 4x plus 2. When you subtract the 2, you get y, subtract 0, you get y. X cubed, everything here will get subtracted and get 0. Apart from this one, 7 subtract 2, you get 5. So for the whole of the right hand side, you get 7 subtract 2, get 5. All the others will be eliminated. So this is the line that you're supposed to draw. Draw that line. Y is equals to 5. Y is equals to 5. Draw that. So y is equals to 5 is this line here. This is the line. That is the given, let me draw it, sorry. So y is equals to 5 is this line here. Let me draw this one. You use a ruler to draw these. I think that should be okay now. So that is the line, the horizontal line passing through y is equals to 5. So this is y is equals to 5. Now your interest is simply checking where that line intersects with your curve. And you can see we have a point here. This is one point where the curve intersects with that line. And that is negative 1.5. So that is the first solution. You read the x coordinate of that point of intersection. So that point, you read the x coordinate of that point of intersection. That point is at x is equals to negative 1.5. So that is one solution. So x is equals to negative 1.5. Let's go to the other value. The other value is here. We have another one here. We have another one here. So this point here, let me mark it. So there is that point. So this point the x coordinate of this point is negative 0.4. If you drop down here, you'll notice that this is negative 0.4. The other one was here. The other one was here, negative. That was the other one. So this is the point, and this is negative, not negative, but this is positive 0.4. 0.4. This is 0.4. And then we still have another point of intersection. The other point of intersection is here. Not that one. There's one here. Not there. This one. We are considering this line. Y is equals to 5 on the curve. So here it is. So this is the point. So this point here is 3 point. So let me mark it. So the point is here. So that is a point of intersection, and that point is 3 point. This is 3.1. 3.1. So those are the three solutions. So this one, negative 1.5. This point of intersection here, 0.4. And then we have this one is 3.1. 3.1. So those are the solutions. We go to the other line. The other line we're going to draw here using this equation given here. So using the function y is equals to x cubed subtract 2x squared minus 4x plus 7, and then we compare it with this 0 is equals to x cubed minus 2x squared minus 8x plus 9. We subtract these. Y subtract 0, that is y, is equals to x cubed, 2x squared will get subtract. Then negative 4x subtract, I'll write it here, negative 4x subtract negative 8x. This will give negative 4x plus 8x, which will give 4x. That will give 4x. Then 7 subtract 9, that is 2. So this is the line that you need to draw. This is the equation of a straight line. So for this one, you'll need at least 2 points to draw that. You choose any 2 points, at least 2 points to draw that. So the first point I will use is when x is 0. Just substitute x with 0 here. In this function, y is equals to 4x minus 2. You get y will be negative 2. I can choose another one like 1. When x is 1, this will be 4 subtract 2, that will be 2. And then another one is you can just add 0.5. When x is 0.5, y will be 0. So you can use at least 2 points. 3 points are still okay. So use these points to draw that straight line. So 0, negative 2. Plot that 0, the line is drawn there. 0, negative 2. Here is negative 2. So it is here. 0, negative 2 is here. And then we have 1, 2. 1, 2 is here. That is the other point. It is there. 1, 2. And then we have 0.50. 0.50 is here. So you can see now, using these 3 points, you come up with a straight line. So these, and then these. So these 3 points here, you get that line. So the equation is here. Y is equals to 4x minus 2. That is a straight line. That is the straight line there. You can see it. So now, to get the solutions using that graph, check where does that line intersect with the curve. The first point is here. So that is the first point. You can see the first point is here. Then we have another one here. And then we have another one here. So you need to read the x coordinates of the point of intersection of that line and the curve. So this one here, this point here is negative 2.5, actually negative 2.55, something like that. So this is the point, negative 2.5. You can just estimate they are negative 2.55. So when you read the x coordinate of the point of intersection, negative 2.55. So the first one, x is negative 2.55, and then the other one is here. This one is obvious, you can see it. This point of intersection of that line and the curve. Here the x coordinate of that point of intersection is 1. You can see that point, the x coordinate is 1. So x is equals to 1. And then the other one is here. The other point is here. The other point of intersection is here. So this one, I can draw it is somewhere there. So that is the point of intersection. This is 3.55. Can estimate it like that, 3.55. Still, it is slightly past 3.5 and not yet at 3.6. So x is 3.55. 3.55. So those are the solutions. We did that by simply checking where that line, equation of that line, where this line here intersects with the curve. So those are the points. You read the coordinates of those points. So that is how you're supposed to solve that question. Question 19. In the figure below, M and N are points on OB and BA respectively, such that OM ratio MB is equals to 2:3 and BN ratio NA is equals to 2:1. ON and AM intersect at X. So you can see the diagram there. Part A of the question, given that OA is equals to A, OB is equals to B, expressed in terms of A and B, vector AM. So that is the first question, and then part 2 is AB. So we start with the first one, AM. So I'll begin by looking at the statement again here. This ratio OMMB, OMMB. So this ratio is 2:3, and BNNA, the ratio is 2:1. So that is how begin. Then I don't think we have anything else. ON and AM intersected X. So you can go now to, you're given this vector OA. It is good to note the direction, that is A, and then OB, that is the vector B. AM, so you want to move from A to M. So to move from A to M, you use this route. Vectors is about direction. AO, so these will be given by AO plus OM. That is how you get vector AM. In simple terms, You want to move from A to M. Which route are you going to follow? Which direction are you going to follow? A to O, O to M. What is AO? AO, you can see I indicated the arrow. You're given that OA is A. But now when you're moving in the opposite direction of the arrow, that is AO, that will not be A. It will be negative A. Reason? You're moving in the opposite direction. Remember, you're given OA is the one that is A. So AO, you're moving in the opposite direction, so it will be negative A. Then OM, how do we get OM? You're going to use this ratio. If M divides OB in the ratio 2:3, then that means that OM is 2, the fraction that is 2, divided by the total O to B. You have the sum of the ratio 2 plus 3, so that is 5, and this is OB. So OM is 2/5 of OB, and you get that one from the ratio given there, that M divides OB. Now from here, you have negative A plus 2/5 OB. Remember, OB is B. So you can write it like that, or you can simply leave it as 2/5 B subtract A is the same thing. 2/5 B subtract A is the same as negative A plus 2/5 B. We go to AB. AB. So now you want to move from A to B. In vectors, you have to be very careful with direction. So we want to move from A to B. So I will follow this direction from A to O, from A to O, then from O to B. That is how you get that. So what is AO? Again, we had indicated earlier on that AO will be negative A. We don't need to repeat that. So that is negative A plus OB is B. So you can write this one as negative A plus B can also be expressed as B subtract A. So that is how you're supposed to do that. Then now you get the other vector, ON. ON. So you want to move from O to N. So which route do you follow? So move from O to A, then A to N. So ON is equals to OA plus AN. OA plus AN. OA is given as A. Then AN, we have to use the ratio. You can see that N divides AB in the ratio 1:2. You got that ratio BN NA, that was 2:1. So AN will be 1. AN will be 1 divided by the sum of the ratio from A to B is 1 plus 2, that is 3. That is 3. And don't forget the direction. The direction is not BA, it is AB. You're moving in the direction A to N. So the direction you are heading to or you are following is AB. So that will be AN will be a third AB. A third AB. Simple as that. So we proceed. So this will give A plus a third, then AB. We don't need to repeat. We have AB in the second part. So in part 2, we calculated that. We got vector AB. So we just substitute it there. So a third AB, which is B minus A. Simple as that. So this gives A plus a third B minus a third A. Simple as that. You can combine the like terms. A minus a third A will be 2/3 A, then plus a third B. So that is the solution. A subtract a third A, that will be 2/3 A plus a third B. We go to part B. By taking OX is equals to HON and AX is equals to KAM, where H and K are scalars, find two expressions for OX in terms of A and B, hence determine the constants H and K. So we need to find two expressions of OX, and in each of those expressions, the first expression, ensure that you use these OX. Then the second expression, you must use these. So let's go to the first expression of OX. OX is equals to HON. That is the first expression. And since we have ON, we only need to substitute. So this will be H, then ON is given here. We got that vector here. It is 2/3 A, 2/3 A plus a third B. A third B, like that. So this will give 2/3 HA plus a third HB. So that is the first expression of OX. Now in the second expression, we must use AX. So how do we write get OX and ensure that we utilize this vector AX? So just look at, let's go to the diagram. You want to move from O to X and ensure that you use AX. AX must be there. So from O to X and ensure that you use AX. So the route that you're going to follow is O to A, then A to X. Now by using that, you ensure that you utilize AX. So from O to A, then from A to X. That is the vector that you're going to follow. So therefore, OX is equals to O to A, and then AX. You can see OAX is there. So vector OA is given as A, then vector AX is KAM. So this gives A plus K, and then AM is here. We got it in A part 1 as 2/5 B minus A. It is here 2/5 B minus A. We got that 2/5 B minus A. Like that. So this gives A plus, multiply this, K times 2/5 B, that will give 2/5 KB, then minus K times A, that is KA. That is the second expression. Now after getting the two expressions, now this is what you do. So that is the first expression of OX, and this is the second one. So because they're expressing the same thing, you just equate them. You take the first expression, which is 2/3 HA plus a third HB, and then you equate that to the second expression because they are expressing the same thing. The second one is A plus 2/5 KB minus KA, like that. So equate them because they are both, this is OX and this one is OX. They are expressing the same thing. Now from there, identify the vectors containing vector A, the terms containing vector A. We have that one contains A, that one contains A, and that one contains A. Equate them. So from the left hand side, the vectors containing A, we have 2/3 HA, and then equate that in the right hand side. Where do we have A? We have A and then minus KA. Then, because you can see that vector A is common, you can divide all through by vector A. Divide all through by vector A. And when you do that, you will get this one is 2/3 h is equals to 1. And this will give 1. Subtract k. Subtract k. You can simplify this equation by multiplying each term by 3. Multiply each term by 3, so that you get this will be 2h is equals to 3 minus 3k. 3 minus 3k. So I can leave that on at that point. We shall come back to that. That is the first equation. Then the next one. Now check the terms that are containing vector B and equate them. So we have this, a third HB is equals to 2/5 KB. Those are the only one. From the left hand side we have a third HB. The right hand side we have 2/5 KB. Then divide all through by B. Divide all through by vector B. So that you have a third H is equals to 2/5 K. Like that. So I can try to simplify these like this. I can make H the subject. By multiplying each term by 3. This one by 3. So that I get H is equals to, this will give 6/5 K. 6/5 K. Like that. So by doing that, I'll be able now to use substitution, because I'll simply use these. So just look at, let me do it properly. So we have these. So we have that as the second equation, and then we have these. We have that one as the first equation. So we solve them simultaneously. So in the first equation, from the first equation, you have 2h. 2h is equals to 3. Now this is the equation that I'm using. That is the equation I'm using. Minus 3k. And since h is equals to 6/5k, I can substitute that here. So 2 multiplied by h. h is 6/5k. Just use substitution, is equals to 3 minus 3k. So this gives 12/5k is equals to 3 minus 3k. Like terms together. So you have 12/5k. Then bring negative 3k to the left hand side. You have plus 3k is equals to 3. So you add these, 12/5. So 12 divided by 5. 12 plus 3. That gives 27/5. So that one gives 27/5k is equals to 3. So k will be given by multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 27/5. So this will be 5 divided by 27, and this side by 5 divided by 27. So this gives, when you multiply both sides, you'll get by 3, 1 by 3, this is 9. So this will give 5 divided by 9. So that is k. Having obtained k, remember h is 6/5k, and we got k as 5/9. So here you get h to be this 5/1 by 5/1 by 3/2 by 3/3. So this will give 2/3. So now we have the two values of k, two values of that you are required to get, that is determine the constant h and k. So we have k is 5/9 and h is 2/3. So we've done that. The last part is the ratio in which m divides ax. The ratio in which m divides ax. What is going to help us? There is this expression that you're given involving ax that we used in the second part. So there is this expression here that ax is equals to k am. So just look at these. Ax is equals to k am. That is what you're going to use. Ax is equals to k am. So ax is equals to k am. Now, since we already have the value of k, when you look at that expression, ax is equals to k am. So when we insert that value of k that we got, because we got this one as ax is equals to k is 5/9 am. Having that, we'll be able to get the ratio. 5/9 means ax is equals to 5/9. It means that this part will be 5, and then because we're saying that ax is equals to 5/9 am, so this part ax is the one that is 5, and then 9 represents the total ratio from a to m. So if this is 5, so what is remaining to make 9? This will be 4. So that fraction, now when you look at that ratio, when you're getting ax will be 5 divided by the total ratio of that line from a to m, that is 5 plus 4, 9 am. So that tells you that the ratio will therefore be 5:4. 5:4. So the ratio is 5:4. And that is how you're supposed to solve that question. Question 20. In arithmetic progression AP, the second, the fifth, and the 11th terms form the first 3 consecutive terms of a geometric progression GP. Given that the common difference of the AP is 2, find A, the 10th term of the AP. The 10th term of the AP. We start with that. So you have the second, the fifth, and the 11th terms of the AP forming the first 3 consecutive terms of a GP. So the first thing, we shall write the second, fifth, and the 11th terms of an AP. So start with the second. So the second term of the AP, and you should remember that the nth term of any arithmetic progression is given by a plus n minus 1 d, where a is the first term, n is the position of the term, and then d is the common difference. So the second term is written as a plus, just substitute n, because it is the second term, n will be 2, so it will be 2 subtract 1, that will be d. So that is how you write the second term. The fifth term of an AP is written as a plus, n will be 5, so this will be 5 subtract 1, that will be 4d. And then we have the 11th. The 11th term is a plus, n is 11, so 11 subtract 1, that will be 10 times d, that is 10d. Now from that, now we look at what you're given. You're given that the common difference of the AP is 2. So that means d is equals to 2. Substitute d in each one of these. So a plus d, that will be d is 2. So that will be a plus 2. Then the other one is a plus 4d. When d is 2, 4 times 2, that will be 8. And then we have a plus 10d. When d is 2, that will be 10 times 2, that will be 20. So this will be a plus 20. So now let me write them in order. So we have now the second term, which is a plus 2, the fifth, which is a plus 8, and then the 11th, which is a plus 20. Now these form the first three consecutive terms of a GP. So the way they are, a plus 2, a plus 8, and a plus 20, they form the first three consecutive terms. Consecutive means they follow each other. So if these terms are for a GP, a plus 2, a plus 8, a plus 20, then it means that there is a common ratio. There is a common ratio among these three terms. And how do you get the common ratio? The common ratio is given by, you take a plus 8 divide by a plus 2. That is how you get the common ratio. And that ratio should be constant. When you take the other term, a plus 20 divide by a plus 8. That is also a common ratio. It should be constant. So for a GP, there is a common ratio. For an AP, there is a common difference. Now, having these, we should now be able to calculate the value of A. So from these, we should get the value of A. How do we get the value of A? By simply cross multiplying these. So cross multiply these, a plus 8 multiplied by a plus 8 multiplied by a plus 8, like that, is equivalent to a plus 20 multiplied by a plus 2. So we expand these, a plus 8 multiplied by a plus 8, that is a plus 8 squared. When you expand that, you'll get a squared plus 16a plus 64. When you expand a plus 20 multiplied by a plus 2, that one should give a squared plus 22a plus 40. So now look at this equation. You have a squared from both sides, so you can subtract a squared from both sides. So this one and this one, when you subtract a squared from both sides, you're going to have it finished. It will not be there. So you remain with 16a plus 64 is equals to 22a plus 40. So for this one, you can take the like terms together. So I'll take 22. Let me take these. So I'll take 22a minus 16a is equivalent to 64 subtract 40. I'm just taking the like terms together, and these will give 24. 64 subtract 40, that is 24, is equivalent to 22 minus 16a, that will be 6a. So now you can see here, when you divide both sides by 6 to get the value of a will be given by 24 divided by 6, and that will be 4. So now we have the first term. The first term is given. The question is the 10th term of the AP. How do you write the 10th term? The 10th term of the AP is a plus n is 10, so 10 minus 1 multiplied by d, that will be 9d. That is how you write the 10th term. So what you are missing, I think you have everything, because you have a is 4, and then you have d. D is 2. D is 2. So this will give 4 plus 18, and that will give 22. So that is how you get the 10th term of the AP. It is 22. Part B, the number of terms of the AP that will sum up to 460. The number of terms that will sum up to 460. So for this question, you need to know how to get the sum of a number of terms of an arithmetic progression. So the sum of a number of terms, let's say n, of an arithmetic progression is given by n divided by 2, then 2a plus n subtract 1 multiplied by d. That is how you get the sum of a number of terms, let's say n, of an arithmetic progression. So you're given the sum already to be 440. The sum is 440. So we need to get the number of terms. So the number of terms, therefore, you need to calculate n. N is what is going to give us the number of terms. Because already we have a is 4. We've just calculated that from the above part, and then you have the common differences 2. So you can see when we get n, n will now give us the number of terms. So this is n over 2. Then 2a, this will be 2 times 4 plus n subtract 1. Then d is 2, like that. So from here, when you multiply to eliminate these 2 here, when you multiply both sides by 2, both sides of the equation by 2, you get 4 times 2 times 460, that will give 960 is equals to, so this one cancel, you have n, so this will be 8 plus this is a 2n subtract 2, like that. So this will get 960. This is 8n plus, I think I can simplify these. I can simplify these. This is 8 subtract 2, that is 6 plus 2n, that you get 9. I think this is not 960. Sorry for this. This will be 920. 920. When you multiply 460 by 2, you get 920. Sorry for that. So is equals to 6n plus, just opening the brackets here, 2n times n, 2n squared, like that. So you can see you forming a quadratic equation. So you can organize these like these, 2n squared plus 6n, then bring 920. You're just reorganizing it to form a quadratic equation. Subtract 920 is equals to 0. All the same, you can continue simplifying this by dividing all through by 2. If you divide all through by 2, you will end up getting n squared plus 3n minus 460 is equals to 0. So from here now, you can solve this quadratic equation using any suitable method. You can use factorization or the quadratic formula, whichever works for you. I will use the quadratic formula. So n will be given by negative b. This is the quadratic formula. B squared minus 4ac divided by 2a, whereby in this quadratic equation, if you compare the terms, that is a standard quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0. So just compare. N will be a will be 1, then b is the coefficient of n, b will be 3, this one, and then c will be negative 460. Just substitute here, that you get negative b will be negative 3 plus or minus. So you have b squared is 3 squared, which is 9, subtract 4 times a times c, like that, everything divided by 2a, which is 2 times 1. So this one gives a negative 3 plus or minus. I'll work out everything here. 9 subtract 4 times, this will be positive. So when you work out everything inside the root sign, you'll get 1849 with the root sign there, then divide by 2, which will give negative 3 plus or minus. The root of 1849 is 43 divided by 2. So from here, you'll get two values of n. The first one will be negative 3 plus 43 divided by 2. So here n will be 20, or the second one will be negative 3 subtract 43 divided by 2. So here n will be, this is negative 46 divided by 2, negative 23. So you shall ignore, because here we're dealing with the number of terms, and the number of terms should only be positive. So you'll consider n is equals to 20, because n is the number of terms. So you ignore the negative number of terms. It is not possible to have the negative number of terms. Now, from there, having now obtained the number of terms, let's go to the last part. The least number of terms of the GP for which the sum is greater than 6138. The least number of terms for the GP which the sum should be greater than 6130. So here in this question, because you have to get the sum of a number of terms for the GP, we need the formula that you're going to use. How do you get the sum of a number of terms n for a geometric progression? There are two. One is when the common ratio is greater than 1, and then we have another formula when the common ratio is less than 1. So we need to know the common ratio of these GP. So let us go to the terms. These are the ones that form the first 3 consecutive terms of the GP. So we have a plus 2, because we already got a as a was 4, so this will be 6, and then this will be 12, and then this one will be 24. It will be 24. So you can see it is possible now to get the common ratio. The terms are 6, 12, and 24. 6, 12, and 24. 6, 12, and 24. So the common ratio, you get it by, you can use either 12 divided by 6 or 24 divided by 12, which gives the common ratio is 2. That means it is greater than 1. So if it is greater than 1, this is the formula that you're going to use. The formula that we shall use here is this one. So the sum of a number of terms n over GP will be given by a, which is the first term, then we have r to the power n, that is a common ratio, subtract 1, then divided by r subtract 1. That is when the common ratio is greater than 1. So we have the common ratio as 2. We have the first term as 6. The first term is 6 of this GP. So we just need to, then we have the sum that is given. First of all, because we want to get the least number of terms that is going to give us the sum that is greater than. So first of all, we will get the number of terms that will give us the sum of 6138. So which are these number of terms that will give us the sum as 6138? So we have a, which is 6, then common ratio, we have 2 raised to the power n, subtract 1, then the common ratio we have 2 subtract 1. So this will give 6138 is equals to 6, 2n subtract 1. So with that now, we can divide both sides of this equation by 6. Divide that side by 6 and this one by 6. So that you get 6138 divided by 6. That will give 1023. 6138 divided by 6, 1023 is equals to 2 to the power n subtract 1. Because you're solving for n, you want to get the number of terms. You take 1 to the other side, so you take 1 here, the right to the left hand side. So we shall have 1024. 1023 plus 1 is equals to 2 to the power n. So we can use indices here, because I can see that 1024 and 2 can be, see, it is possible to express 1024 to in power form, the base of 2. 1024 written in power form with the base of 2 is the same as 2 to the power 10. That is 1024, which is equals to 2 to the power n. So using indices, the bases are the same, so that means n is equals to 10. So now what we have is the number of terms of the GP that will give a sum that is 6138. So 10 terms are the one that will give us exactly the sum of 6138. But that is not the question. We want the least number of terms, that of the GP that will give the sum that is greater than. So because we have already obtained the number of terms that will give us the sum of exactly 6138, so that means if we just get the sum of 11 terms, we just add 1. So n plus 1, which is 10, plus 1, we'll get 11 terms. So 11 terms, if we get the sum of 11 terms, that is the one that will give us the sum that is greater than 6138. So you don't take the answer as 10 terms. 10 terms will give us the sum that is just exactly 6138. And since we want the number of terms that will give the sum that is greater than, you just add 1 to the number of terms. That is, when you increase the number of terms by 1, because that is the least that you can increase the number of terms, that is the least, that is what is going to give you the sum that is greater than 6138. So the answer there is 11 terms. Question 21. The table below shows income tax rate for a certain year. Monthly income tax in Kenya shillings is given there. Then the tax rate is given there in percentages. Part A, in that year, a tax relief of 1,280 was allowed, and Kipchumba's tax in the fifth band was 3,450. Calculate 1. Kipchumba's monthly taxable income. Supposed to calculate monthly taxable income. So when you look at what you're given, what is going to help you to get the monthly taxable income? Of course, we are given the tax in the fifth band. That is what is going to help us. The tax in the fifth band. So we have the first band is there, the second band, the third band, the fourth band, and the fifth band is there. This is the fifth band. So since we have the tax in the fifth band, we need to get the income that was taxed in the fifth band in order to get 3450. And that income is the income that is above 38,892. So that amount that is above or over 38,892 was the one that was taxed in order to give at the rate of 30% in order to give this tax. So this is what you're going to do. We shall let the taxable income, TI, taxable income in the fifth band, in the fifth band, be X. So when we tax this X amount at the rate of 30%, that is X multiplied by 30%, that should give the tax of 3450. So therefore X will be given by 3450 multiplied by 100 divided by 30, and these will give, when you work it out, you will get 11,500. 11,500. So now 11,500 was the amount that was taxed in the fifth band. That was the income that was taxed in the fifth band in order to give this tax. And that amount, it is good to note that that is the amount that is above 38,892. So now, in order to get the taxable income, Kipchumba's monthly taxable income, it means you're going to add the whole income from the first band, the second band, what was taxed in the first band, the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth band. And the fifth band, we've noted that the amount that was above that 8,892 was 11,500. So the total taxable income, we'll simply get it by taking 38,892, and then we add the amount that is above that 8,892, which is 11,500, and that will be the taxable income, which is 5392. 5392. So that is how you're supposed to calculate Kipchumba's monthly taxable income. Part 2, his payee. Payee is pay as you earn, the tax. So to calculate the tax, we are going to use the taxable income. Already we have calculated it in part 1. So the amount that we are going to tax is 5392. So we tax that amount from the first band to the fifth band. So we start from the first band. Note we are taxing 5392. The first band, what is the size of the first band? 0 to 10, 164. The size of that band will simply be 10, 164. 10, 164 multiplied by 10%. This one should give a tax of 1016.4 or 40 cents. We go to the second band. Second band, we are going to get the amount taxed there by taking 19,740, then subtract 10,164, not 10,165. So we take 19,740, subtract 10,164, and that will give 95.76. 95.76, and that the second band is taxed at the rate of 15%, and this one should give 1436 and 40 cents. We go to the third band. So that band, the amount there, the taxable income, we get it by taking 29,316, subtract 19,740, and that one gives the same amount, 95.76. That band is taxed at the rate of 20%, and this gives 1915 and 20 cents. Remember, we shall go up to the fifth band. So the fourth band, the amount there is 38,892, subtract 29,316. 38,892 subtract 29,316, and you find the same amount, 95.76 times That band is taxed at the rate of 25%. 25%, and this gives 2394. 2394 and 0 cents. Now for the fifth band, we already have the amount. We got the amount or the income in the fifth band to be 11,500. The amount above that 88,892, that is 11,500. So we don't need to calculate that. So we got it as 11,500, and that one should be taxed at the rate of 30%. 30%, and it gives the tax. The tax is already there. We were given that one should give you that 450 from part A. From part A of the question, you have that tax in the fifth band was 3450. So that should give that 450. Now all these amounts here, when you add 10,164, 9576, 9576, 9576 again, and 11,500, that should give you a total of 50,392, the total taxable income. Now when you add everything, here, this is the tax, and then the other column is for the income. So when you add the total tax here, that gives what we call the gross tax. The gross tax, we add 10, 16 and 40 cents plus 14.36 and 40 cents plus 19.15 and 20 cents plus 23.94 plus 34.50, and that should give when you add everything correctly there, it should give 10,212. 10,212. That is 10,212. That is what you get. That is the gross tax. Now there is something that you're given here. Remember, pay as you earn is equivalent to the net tax. So you have the relief, tax relief of 1280. So now that is gross tax. To get the net tax, you less the relief that is given there. There's a tax relief of 1280. So you subtract that, and when you subtract that, you get the net tax, or that is now the payee. And these should give 1012 subtract 1280, that should give 8932. 8932. And that is how you're supposed to solve that part of the question. We go to the last part, part B. Kipchumba's income included a taxable house allowance of 20,000 shillings, commuter allowance of 8,000, and non-taxable entertainment of 10,000. He also contributes 10% of his basic salary to cooperative society. Calculate his monthly net pay. So the question is monthly net pay. So how do you get the net pay? Net pay is obtained by getting the gross income. Gross income. Then you less all the deductions that are given. All the deductions. So we start with the gross income. So what is the gross income? Now the gross income, we have already from part 1, we have the taxable income. Remember, for you to get the taxable income, you take the basic salary. You can write it here. So taxable income. So taxable income, you get it by getting the basic salary plus all the taxable allowances. All the taxable allowances. So that includes, so 50,392, which is the taxable income, that one should include all the taxable allowances as given here. So that income included, that is 50, 392 included these taxable house allowance. It was there. It is in 5392. It is good to note that. The commuter allowance is also there. The one that is not there is non-taxable entertainment. So you need to note this, non-taxable entertainment allowance. So 5392 includes 20,000. That is a taxable house allowance and commuter allowance of 8,000, but it does not include 10,000. So you have to take now to get the gross income. You have 50,392, and then you add the non-taxable. That one was not added to get the taxable income, so you have to add that, and these should give 60,392. So that is the gross income. Now let's go to the deductions. The deductions are here. He contributes 10% of the basic salary. So because we don't have the basic salary, we have to get that. And there's something here I wrote. The taxable income is equals to, you get it by taking the basic salary and then add all the taxable allowances. So in this case, because you want to get the basic salary, you will take the taxable income and then you less the allowances, the taxable allowances. So basic salary will be given by taxable income less taxable allowances. So we take taxable income, then we less the taxable allowances. And we have the taxable income. We have it as 50,392. 50,392. Then we less the taxable allowances. One was house allowance of 20,000. 20,000. And then there is another one here, 8,000. 8,000. So remember, it is the taxable allowances. So you're not going to include the non-taxable allowance. So that will not be included in this case. So these will give, when you subtract these, you get 22,392. 22,392. So that is the basic salary. Note, is a taxable income, subtract all the taxable allowance. That is how you get the basic salary. Now, having done that, you told that he contributes 10%. So we get this contribution to the cooperative. So to the cooperative society. So we have 10%. 10% of the basic, 22,392. 22,392. So we get how much this amount is, 22,392. And this will give 2,000. This will give 2,229. 2,239 and 20 cents. So that is the amount that he contributes to the cooperative society. Then do we have any other deduction? I don't think we have any other. The other deduction, or before we forget, the other deduction is the payee, the net tax. The net tax, which you got in the previous part, is 8932. 8932. So we only have these cooperative society, this amount, and this one. Those are the only deduction that we have. So now, to get the net pay, so net pay will be given by the gross income, which you got as 60,392, and then we less the cooperative share, the cooperative amount, that is the one that we got here, contributes 10% of the basic. We got that one is 2239 TZM. 22.39 and 20 cents. And then we have the net tax. Those are the only deductions, which is 89.32. 89.32. So we subtract that. So we have 63.92, 392, then subtract 22.39, 20 cents plus 89.32. So this gives 49,220 and 80 cents as the net pay. And that is how you're supposed to solve that question. Question 22. In the figure below, A, B, and C are points on the circumference of the circle, center O. AB is 10 centimeters, BC is equals to 15 centimeters, and angle ABC is equals to 58 degrees. ECF is a tangent to the circle at C. So you can see the diagram is there. All the figures are indicated. Part A of the question, calculate the size of angle OAC. Calculate the size of angle AOC. So let me identify the angle. OAC is here. This is the angle you're supposed to calculate. What will help us to get that angle is this particular angle that is here. Angle AOC is the one that is going to help us. And there's a property that I'm going to use that will help us get that. When I look at angle ABC, look at angle ABC and angle AOC. We say that angle AOC is twice angle ABC. Angle ABC. Why? The reason is the angle subtended at the center of the circle, that is angle AOC, is twice the angle subtended at the circumference by the same chord or arc. So look at this arc that is here. Arc from A to C, or simply the chord from A to C. That subtends an angle AOC at the center, and the same chord subtends an angle ABC at the circumference. So if this angle is 58, then this will be double that angle, 116. Then look at AO. AO is the radius and OC is the radius, so they are equal. That forms an isosceles triangle AOC. So therefore, to get the angle, the base angles, which is angle OAC, we will simply take 180. That is the sum of angles in a triangle. Then we subtract 116 degrees, and with this one will give 64. So 64 is for the two angles, the base angles of an isosceles triangle. That is angle OAC and angle OCA. So you simply divide this by 2 because the two angles are equal, and you get 32 degrees. So this is 32 degrees and this one is 32 degrees. Part B, calculate correct to one decimal place the length of AC. The length of AC. So look at AC, and I want you to look at triangle ABC. So in triangle ABC, you have two sides that are given. Side AB is 10, side BC is 15, and then there is an angle between them that is 58. So definitely here you're going to use the cosine rule. You're going to use the cosine rule. So let me use the cosine rule. So the cosine rule will go like this. So you get AC squared. AC squared. The cosine rule. So AC squared is equals to the two sides squared, that is AB squared plus BC squared. AB squared plus BC squared, then minus 2 multiplied by AB multiplied by BC, then multiplied by the cosine of the angle between, that is 58 degrees. So let me substitute the values. So you have AB is 10, BC is 15. then minus 2 times 10 times 15, then multiply by the cosine of 58 degrees. So this will give 100 plus 225, that will give 325. Subtract, this will be 150, 300 cosine of 58 degrees. So AC squared is equivalent to, let me solve the whole of this using a calculator. 325 subtract 300 cosine of 58. That gives 166.024. 024 like that. So to get AC, you simply get the square root of 166, get the square root of that, and you're required to give the answer correct to one decimal place. This will give 12.9 centimeters. The next question, part 2, the radius of the circle. The radius of the circle. So what are we going to use to get the radius of the circle? Since we have this side as 12.9, that is AC, now we have triangle ABC having all the 3 sides given. So to get the radius of the circle, we are going to use the sine rule. We use the sine rule. And the sine rule, if you can remember this, A divided by sine A is equals to B divided by sine B is equals to C divided by sine C is equals to 2 multiplied by the radius. So this is the concept that you're going to use. So only pick one side that we have. For example, we have 12.9. We have a side that is given here. We know this side, 12.9, and then divide by the sine of the angle that is opposite, which is a 58. That should give 2r. So we just pick that from the sine rule. You don't need to pick the 3 of them, just one of them. If you have the opposite side given, which is 12.9, and the angle, you have one side that is given AC and the opposite angle to that side, which is 58, is there. So that is what you're going to use. So 12.9, so let me use it here. So 12.9 divided by sine of 58 should give 2 radius. So you just make r the subject, and you know, to get r, you simply multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 2, which is a half. So you have 12.9 divided by sine of 58. You have to multiply this by half. So radius is equals to, so you have 12.9 divided by sine 58. So divide by 2. So this gives a 7.6. Correct one decimal place. This one should give 7.6 centimeters. So you simply use the sine rule. That is what has helped us. And what specifically has assisted us is this side that is given here, 12.9, and you have the angle that is opposite to that side. We go to part 3 of the question. That is the last one. The area in the circle not covered by the triangle ABC. The area in the circle not covered by triangle ABC. So the area not covered, I can shade that one just to illustrate. The area not covered by, in the circle not covered, is that. That is the area that is not covered by the triangle. That is the area that we need to get. The area in the circle not covered by the triangle. That is the one that I've shaded. The area that I've shaded is not covered by the triangle. So how do you get that area? You simply need to get the area of the circle, then subtract the area of triangle ABC. So the area of the circle, so that will be given by the area of the circle, then subtract the area of triangle ABC. Now how to get the area of the circle? Pi r squared. So you have 22 divided by 7, and we got the radius. The radius of the circle is 7.6 squared, like that. Then the area of triangle ABC. When you look at triangle ABC, we can use the formula half AB sine theta. You have two sides and an included angle, so you can use a half times 10 times 15 times sine of 58. A half times 15 times 10 times the sine of the angle between. So by doing so, we'll get the area in the circle not covered by the triangle. So we get the area of the circle, 22 times 7.6 squared. Then we divide this by 7. That will give 181.53. Then we have 150 multiplied by sine of 58. Then we divide that by 2. That gives 63.60 centimeters squared. So when you subtract these, 181.53 subtract 63.6, that gives 117.9 centimeters squared. And that is how you're supposed to solve that question. Question 23. In a driving school, a trainee has to pass through 3 sets of traffic lights. The probability that she will have to stop at any one of the lights is 2/5. Draw a tree diagram to represent the above information. Draw a tree diagram to represent the above information. So a trainee has to pass through 3 sets of traffic lights. So we shall have 3 branches for that tree diagram. The probability that you have to stop at any one of the lights is 2/5. So this is how I'll draw the tree diagram. So this is stopping and this one is passing. Probability of stopping is 2/5. The probability of passing will therefore be 3/5. Remember that the sum of the probability for each branch should give you 1. 2/5 plus 3/5, that should give you 1. So that is the first set of traffic lights. So we have the second set, stop, pass. This is the second, stop, pass. So the probability stopping 2/5, 3/5, 2/5, 3/5. This now is the third set. Third set, stop, pass. Stop, pass. Stop, pass. Stop, pass. Probability 2/5, 3/5, 2/5, 3/5, 2/5, 3/5, 2/5, 3/5. Then it's always good to have these. This is the probability of stopping at the 3 sets, stop, stop, pass. This is stop, pass, stop. Then you have stop, pass, pass, stop. This is a pass, stop, stop. Then you have this is pass, stop, pass, then pass, pass, stop, and then this is pass. So that is the complete tree diagram without the probabilities indicated. Part B, using the tree diagram or otherwise, determine the probability that the trainee will 1. Have to stop at any 2 sets of lights. Will have to stop at only 2 sets of light. So you can use the tree diagram or not. That is the meaning of using the tree diagram or otherwise. So having to stop at only 2 sets, we shall pick these only 2 sets where we shall have 2 S's. That is stopping at only 2 sets, stopping at only 2 sets, for every instance where there are two S's, two stops, there are two stops there. So you can see there are two stops there, two stops there, two stops there, and I don't think we have any other where we have two stops. So those are the three that you're supposed to use. So therefore, when you're calculating, it will be the probability of SSP or SPS, that is stop, pass, stop, or pass, stop, stop, like that. So we go to the first one, stop, stop, pass. Probability, follow the branch carefully, 2/5 times 2/5 times 3/5, like that. Or stop, pass, stop, that will be stop is 2/5, 3/5, and then 2/5. Or pass, stop, stop, this is 3/5, then 2/5 times 2/5, like that. So work out these should give, this is 4, this would be 12 divided by 5 cubed, this will be 125, plus this again will be 12. So when you look at all of them will be 12 divided by 125, and also this one will be 12 divided by 125, which will give 36 divided by 125. So that is the probability. Part 2, pass at least one set of lights without stopping. Pass at least one. So you have to understand these. At least one. Pass at least one. Pass at least one. At least one. Without stopping. Pass without stopping. So in this case, you shall consider at least one means it is passing at one of the lights or the three. So anywhere we shall have 1p or 2p or the 3p's. That is what you're going to work out. So the only one that will not be included is where we shall have the 3 stops. The 3 stops are the ones that are not going to be included. So we shall consider all the others apart from the first one, apart from these, because you need the probability of passing at least one, passing at least one of the lights, of the set of lights without stopping. So it is anywhere you have 1p or 2p's or 3p's. And when you look at the only instance where we don't have a single p is only the first one, where this person will stop at the 3 traffic lights. So you have the option of going the long way, or maybe going the short route. So you can decide to take all the probabilities. Here we have 1 passing at least one, we have 1p, we have 1p, we have 2p's, we have 1p. So we said we are going to consider instances where we have 1p, that is passing one set of traffic lights, or more, that is either where we have 1p or 2p's or 3p's. So you shall add all these. You shall add all these. So instead now of doing that, there is a shortcut that you can use, whereby you're supposed to understand that when you get the sum of all these probabilities, you add all these, the sum of all these probabilities here is supposed to give you 1. That sum is supposed to give you 1. And therefore, because you need to add all the probabilities, these ones that I've ticked here, apart from the one that has 3 stops, you will only take one, that is the sum of all the probabilities, and then subtract the probability of stopping at the 3 sets of lights. So by doing so, you remain with all the sum of the probabilities that I've ticked there. That is the easiest way to go about it. So you can decide to go the long way. You take all these that I've ticked, multiply them, and then add them, or you can just simply take one, that is the sum of all the probabilities in the tree diagram, and then subtract the probability of stopping at the 3 sets of lights. So I'll go by the shortest one, whereby I will simply take 1, then subtract the probability of stopping at the 3. So by doing so, I will remain with probability of passing at least one set of lights without stopping. So this will give 1, subtract the probability of stopping at the 3 sets of lights will be 2/5 multiplied by 2/5 multiplied by 2/5. So 2/5 multiplied by 2/5 multiplied by 2/5, like that. And these will give 1 subtract, this will be 8 over 125. And these will give the solution as 117 divided by 125. As simple as that. So that is how you're supposed to do that. We go to part C. A bag contains 3 white and 5 blue balls. Then a second bag contains 4 white and 6 blue balls. So a ball is chosen at random from each bag. Find the probability that both balls are white. Then part 2, both balls are of different colors. So we have 2 bags. So you have the first one here. We have the first bag. It contains 3 white and 5 blue. Then you have the second bag. It has 4 white and 6 blue. So the probability, a ball is chosen at random from each bag. Find the probability that both balls are white. Both balls are white. So that means you choose, this will be the probability of choosing a white from the first bag, or the probability of a white from the second bag. So this is a probability of choosing white from the first bag, and then this one is or the probability of choosing white from the second bag. So the probability of picking a white from the first bag is the whites are 3, so it will be 3 divided by the total number of balls, 3 plus 5, that will be 8. Or in probability, remember that the law, this is addition. Then probability of white from the second bag. How many whites are there in the second bag? There are 4. Out of the total balls that are there is 4 plus 6, that is 10. So you add these. So 3 over 8 plus 4 over 10. 3 over 8. You add that. 3 over 8 plus 4 over 10. That gives 31 over 40. The solution. Part 2, both balls are of different colors. Both balls are of different colors. So this one means you can either pick, so from the first, you can pick these. Let me, like these are both balls are of different colors, means you pick a white probability of a white from the first bag and then a blue from the second bag, or the probability of picking a blue from the first bag and then a white from the second bag. So for this one, you have to multiply. So I'll repeat this again. Both balls are of different colors, so that means you pick a white from the first bag and then a blue from the second bag. So that one you're going to multiply the probability. So white from the first bag, the probability of picking a white from the first bag, the whites are 3, divided by the total, that is 8, and then multiply, that is a white from the first bag and a blue from the second bag. A blue from the second bag. How many blues are there in the second bag? There are 6 of a total in the second bag, 4 plus 6, that is 10. Or means addition in probability. You can pick the first ball as blue from the first bag. Blue from the first bag. How many blues are there in the first bag? There are 5, divided by 8, that is a total. Or and a white from the second bag. A white from the second bag. How many whites are in the second bag? There are 4 over the total, that is 10. So that is how you're supposed to do that. Both balls are of different color, so it is a white from the first bag and a blue from the second bag, or a blue from the first bag and a white from the second bag. So that is what you're supposed to do. So this will give 18 divided by 80 plus this is 20 divided by 80. So we add these. So this will be 38 divided by 80. 38 divided by 80. And you can simplify this. If you simplify that, 38 divided by 80, that one will give 19 divided by 40. That is a simplified form. So that is how you're supposed to do that. Question 24. Two variables p and q are such that p varies partly as the square of q and partly as the inverse of q. Given that p is equals to 10.5 when q is equals to 2.5 and p is equals to 30.75 when q is equals to 4. Part A, find the equation connecting p and q. The equation connecting p and q. So this is a partial variation. So let us write this equation. Two variables p and q such that p varies. So p varies partly. For partial variation we use equal sign, and we must choose the constants that you're going to use for partial variation. I'll choose the constant to use as a and b. So those are the constants that I'm going to use. So p varies partly as the square of q, So you have to introduce the constant first and then q is there. So p varies partly as the square of q is represented by that. You must involve the constant. Then and partly as the inverse of q, So you start with the other constant and then inverse of q is like that. So that is the equation showing that now that two variables p and q are such that p varies partly as the square of q, that is aq squared, where a is the constant, and partly as the inverse of q, where b is the constant, and you have q there. Now given that p is equals to 10.5, simply substitute. So p is 10.5 when q is 2.5, So you shall have 2.5 squared, which is 6.25, then multiply by A, and then B divided by Q is 2.5. So that is the first equation. So what I'll do to simplify this equation, I will get rid of this denominator by simply multiplying each term by 2.5 like that. Each term by 2.5. And this is what I'll get. 10.5 times 2.5, I will get 26.25 is equals to 6.25 times 2.5, that will give 15.625. 15.625 A. And then here I will have B. So that is the first equation. Now the second equation, when P is 30.5, so when P is 30.5, 30.75, I mean, then Q is 4. So Q squared will be 16, then multiply by A, and then B divided by Q is 4. Again, I'll get rid of this 4, the denominator here, by multiplying each term by 4. Multiply each term by 4. This is what you'll get. 30.75 times 4, that will give 123. 123 is equals to 16 times 4. This will give 64. This will give 64. Yeah, it is okay. I was looking at something here. So that will be 64 plus B, like that. So we have the second equation. So when you multiply each term by 4, you shall have, so you have Q is 4, P is that, so that is okay. So multiply each term by 4, you get, this is a 64, that is B. So this is the second equation, like that. So that is the second equation. So now you have two equations of which you have to solve them simultaneously to find the value of the constant. The first one is 26.25 is equals to 15.625 A plus B, and then the second one is 123 is equals to 64A plus B. So I can eliminate B by simply subtracting. You solve these equations simultaneously, so I can subtract. So you have 26.25 subtract 123, that gives negative 96.75. Then 15.625 subtract 64, that gives negative 48.375. Then B will be eliminated, so this is A. So therefore A will be given by, divide both sides by negative 48. So you have negative on both sides, so you shall have a positive answer there. So you get 96.75 divided by 48.375. So that gives 2. So you get A as 2. Now once you get A as 2, you proceed now and get the value of B, the other constant. I'll simply pick this equation here. So I'll pick this equation. So 123 is equals to 64 plus B. This is a 64A. Sorry, this is supposed to be 64A plus B. So I'll use this equation. 123 is equals to 64. A is 2. So A is 2. Simply substitute them. Plus B. So B will therefore be 123 subtract 64. Multiply by 2. So these would be 123 subtract 64 multiply by 2. So that will give negative 5. That will give negative 5. So that is B. Now having A and B, now it is easier to continue and write the equation connecting P and Q. Remember, the equation should come from here, A. So from here, you are getting it from here. Don't forget. So just substitute the values of A and B here. So P is equals to, A is 2. So this will be 2Q squared plus, and because B is minus, so this will be minus 5 over Q. So that is the equation connecting P and Q. The other question is find P when Q is 1.5. So from this equation, P is equals to 2Q squared. Q is 1.5 squared minus 5 divided by Q, 1.5. As simple as that. So this will be 2 multiplied by 1.5 squared. This will be 4.5. Then minus 5 divided by 1.5. So this will be 3.333. So this will give 4.5 subtract 3.333. So this will give 1.167. That is correct to 4 significant figures. So that will be the value of P when Q is 1.5. We go to the other part. Q is directly proportional to the square root of R, and Q is equals to 3.04 when R is equals to 3.61. Find 1, the relationship between Q and R. So Q is directly proportional to the square root of R, like that. And then you remove this sign of proportionality, introduce a constant. This will be, I will let the constant to be K. So this is the root of R, like that. Then from there, Q is equals to K. Q is equals to K root of R. Now you can equate this when Q is equals to 3.04. Equals to K multiplied by the root of R. R is 3.61. Like that. So you can make K the subject. In order to get K, K will be given by 3.04 divided by the root of 3.61. So K here will be K will be 1.6. K will be 1.6. Use a calculator there. So the relationship between Q and R therefore will be Q is equals to K, which is 1.6 root of R. That is the relationship. Then the last one, the relationship between P and R. The relationship between P and R. Now remember, in the first part we have the relationship between P and Q. And now since we have the other value of Q given here, we shall substitute that. So let us go to the first part, the relationship between P and Q. It was there. P is equals to 2Q squared minus 5 over Q. Minus 5 over Q. So now, in order to give the relationship between P and R, we already have Q. So, but Q is equals to 1.6 root R. So, but Q is equals to 1.6 root of R. It is given here. It is here in the part C part 1. So, we shall substitute now that one here. So, we have P is equals to 2. Q is 1.6 root R. And you have to square that. So, we are substituting Q with 1.6 root of R. That is what you are substituting there in that equation. Then subtract 5 divided by Q. Q is 1.6 root of R. So this one will give 1.6 root R squared. So 1.6 squared first, that will give 2.56. Then times the root of R squared will give R. When you square the root of R, you will get R. And then we subtract these. 5 divided by 1.6. 5 divided by 1.6. That will give 3.125 divided by root of R. So when you divide 5 by 1.6, you get 3.125. So therefore P is equals to 2 multiplied by 2.56. That will give 5.12 R subtract 3.125 over the root of R. So now that is the relationship between P and R.